everybody, what's going on? Welcome to an all-new Talkin Movies. As always, I am your host, the real Geno Reynolds, and today we're going to be talking about yet another Disney live-action remake. This time it's Dumbo, and everyone was wondering, what are they going to do different? Are they going to even change anything? All that stuff, and also everyone was wondering how Tim Burton did directing this movie. Well, we'll talk about all of that. I will have to say this. I'm gonna be as spoiler-free as possible because I don't want a rabid Mickey Mouse coming after me with his lawyers. I can get in trouble if I spoil any of the magic, as they put it at the screening. I do have to talk about certain plot points, but it's just in reference to how this movie was a little different than the original cartoon. What the movie is about, as many of you know, it's about an elephant that can fly. I don't think that's really much of a spoiler. But the way I see this movie is, I have to say, best way to put this, it's like the part of the Dumbo cartoon, and then what happened after the Dumbo cartoon. But also, this story has more of a human element than the original cartoon. The biggest difference of this movie, other than the fact that it's kind of a new story, just taking elements from the Dumbo cartoon, is that the animals don't talk. It's just, they're animals. This movie takes a realistic approach to the story. Well, as realistic as you can get about a movie that has an elephant that can fly. So we don't have talking animals, but the animals do emote. There's a monkey that is spastic, and Dumbo's cute and learning, and Mama still gets mad, and things like that. So the animals do have emotion. The animals are characters, but they do not speak. So you don't get you don't get it. I mean, I know Dumbo didn't talk, but his mom did. You don't get Timothy Q. Mouse, even though he is in the movie. He's just a mouse, and really, it's not even a big part of the movie. The crows aren't there. There's the animals are there. The ones that are important and need to be there are there. But really, there's not a lot of animal characters. You have Dumbo, Dumbo's mom, Timothy's there. There's a monkey, and I think there was a couple others, but no one was really important except for, honestly, Dumbo and his mom. So yeah, the movie focuses more on the human characters. It's about a man that worked in a circus but had to go off to war, and him and his wife were the star attraction of the circus. They were the horse riders. They would do all the tricks with the horses and gunplay and all that stuff. And he goes off to war, and while he's at war, his wife passes away, and he loses an arm. And it's about him coming back and trying to find his place. So what you have here is kind of two parallel stories, and then three if you count the kid stories. And plus there's all sorts of little bitty stories going on about the people at the circus and the owner of the circus. And there's all sorts of stuff going on. But the main stories would really be Colin Farrell's character. He's the dad. His kids is kind of one story, and then you have Dumbo's story. And the two stories kind of parallel because it's taking what you have and making the best of it. Of course, Dumbo gets made fun of because of his ears, but in the end, elephants can fly, right? So there's that. And then Colin Farrell his character has to find his way, and then also the kids, who are kind of the main push behind Dumbo. They become kind of the Timothy character. They're the inspiration for Dumbo. That's their kind of story arc. Plus, it's all about them coming together as a family as well. Especially since things have changed since Mother is gone. But then again, like I said, you've got just all these other stories going on. I won't get too much into those stories because that's a lot of what's different, and I don't want to spoil that stuff. Some of it's fine. Some of it works really well. I really love Danny DeVito's character. He's Max Medici, who is the head of the circus. He's really funny at first, and he has a nice little character arc throughout the movie. He learned some lessons. Colin Farrell did fine. Michael Keaton, if you ever need someone in your movie to be kind of the evil jerk, just, I won't call him generic, but he was just kind of the, he needs the mustache, right, that he can twirl. He's going to be the dirty player in the game, and he does a great job. He's fun in this. Eva Green, she plays a gymnastics performer, high wire performer, and they tease a bit of a love story in this with her character. I don't think they wanted to push it too far because this is also a story about, them trying to, the family trying to get over that, mom has passed away, so that they didn't push it too far. What they did with it was, I think they teased it enough that you could kind of make your own conclusions. When it came to the kids, I don't like to rip on child actors because, come on, how much experience can you have? I mean, you're young. The kids are okay. They serve their purpose, but there are times where the kids just don't handle the emotions of the scene well. They deliver some of their lines flat. Again, they serve their purpose, but they weren't fantastic in this. But again, I don't want to be mean to child actors because, I mean, they aren't like big time experienced. I mean, the main girl, this is her first movie. So I mean, you can't expect much. I mean, could she be good someday? I don't know, maybe. And I believe the boy hasn't been really in anything either. Yeah, it's his first movie too, as I'm looking it up. So they were given a lot of responsibility, and they were fine. They weren't great, but they were fine. Surrounding them, though, are really good performances, and that kind of helps balance it out. And also, on a side note, if Alan Arkin is in a movie playing Alan Arkin, which he kind of does in every movie, it's instant points with me, and he's fantastic in this, what little bit he's in it as well. He's funny. So you have some really good performances. Now, when it came to the changes, were they worth it? Was it worth making this quote-unquote remake? I will say this. I really enjoyed this movie. I kind of see why you had... I mean, I didn't go back and watch Dumbo, the original. It's been a while since I've seen it. Maybe last year was the last time I watched it. But, I mean, of course, everything I can remember, it's like, they're going to have to change some things in the remake because they're not going to get away with a lot of the stuff that's in this movie. There was the Jim Crow controversy, and there's, controversies about circuses now and things like that. And the movie does address that stuff. A little heavy-handed at times, especially when it comes to how circuses treat animals. It in a way, it kind of feels... It feels like a public service announcement at one point in the movie. but it was fine. I get what they were doing. Um, so I think I got to give this movie credit. While I'm not going to say it's a fantastic movie and it's like, wow, this had to be made. When it comes to these Disney live action remakes, this for me was probably one of the better ones, because it added a human element. I mean, yeah, you got rid of the talking characters, and you know, I like Timothy the mouse, and of course, like I said, he's just a little mouse in this, and they show him a couple times, you know. Um, I like what they did because they tried to tell a new / continuing story, plus the stuff that they didn't use for the first part, where, because really not far into the movie, kind of in a way, the end of the Dumbo cartoon happens, right? So, and then they've got a ton of story to tell after that. So with what they did, I thought they did it really well. And then the stuff that they didn't use, they used in other parts of the movies. As an example, everyone was wondering, were they going to fit in the drunk elephant scene? Well, yes and no. The pink elephants do come into play. You've seen a bit of it in the trailer, but the way they do it, they don't get an elephant drunk. Of course, Disney's not going to do that now. That being said, they do make a reference to an elephant getting drunk, and it's just a kind of a throwaway joke. But it works because it's like, hey, you made a reference. And the movie does do that a lot, where it kind of makes references here and there to the original, from what I can remember. But the way they fit in the pink elephant thing really works with the story they're telling. Is the story overly fantastic or original? No. Again, you kind of know where the story's going already. There's no real big surprises. Again, this is a PG-13 movie, though. It's mainly for kids, even though I think adults are going to enjoy it too. Some may say, you know, this is not my Dumbo. It's like, it's just a different take on it. And you're going to get a lot of story elements from the cartoon, but again, it's minus all the talking animal stuff. The reason why it's called Dumbo is a little different, but I really didn't like how they did that. I understood what they were trying to do with it, why everyone's calling him Dumbo, even though it's kind of a mean name. The reason they give is like, well, but you're still making reference to it throughout the entire movie of why, and that's the reason you said you wanted to call him that, so he could forget that. And they kept making reference. Yeah, it didn't work for me, but whatever. I mean, it's kind of, embrace it. I mean, they find different ways to work in the feather and different things like that. So again, while this movie isn't perfect, it's probably one of the better retellings they've done. It's just not the same thing with just a few things sprinkled in. It's not a big time misfire like Maleficent, where here's her side of the story, right? She's not really that bad. She was really the good guy all along, right? That didn't work for me. This one, you're just adding new characters that, whereas you're replacing the animated animal characters and just adding a new story to it that plays along with Dumbo's journey. And again, a lot of it's Dumbo's journey after where the cartoon ended, and that was really interesting to me. Again, I'm not going to say it's a great movie, but I really enjoyed it. Would I watch it again? If my kids wanted to. I don't know if I would watch it again on my own. But that being said, when I saw it, I was entertained most of the time. Most of the changes they made worked for me. I was a little thrown off by the animals not talking, but then again, later we're going to be getting an entire movie of all CG animals talking with the Lion King. So, it's not like they're abandoning the whole concept of talking animals. So, and really Dumbo, I enjoyed Dumbo the cartoon, My kids love it. It's I like it. It's not one of my all-time favorites or anything. I like it better in some and not better in others. So, but I thought this was a decent retelling slash sequel slash reimagining of the classic cartoon. So I would recommend it, at least seeing it once. The effects, most of the time they're good. There's a few times where I was like, okay, that's not a real elephant, but you kind of lose yourself in that because you like the characters, at least most of them. There's a lot of good humor going on. There's a decent story. It's kind of heartwarming. So really, it's not one of those live action Disney movies that some people find offensive to the original source material. I would recommend it, at least seeing it one time in the theater. That's going to be all for this edition of Talkin Movies. If you like what you've seen here, please subscribe to the Real Geno YouTube channel, like this video, and if you have anything to say about Dumbo, your thoughts on whether you're going to go see it or not go see it because you can't stand that Disney are doing all these remakes, please feel free to leave a comment in the section below. Until next time, I'm your host, the Real Geno, Geno Reynolds. Fly, Dumbo, fly.